I am Christelle from Diabetes Strong, and in this video I'll be talking about Afrezza, which is inhaled insulin. So I'll be talking about what it is, what is my experience using it, and how you can get it as well. Managing diabetes is a full-time job, and high blood sugars can be incredibly frustrating and mentally taxing. If you use insulin, you know that injected insulin takes time to work, regardless of what type of injected rapid-acting insulin you use. But did you know that there's another rapid-acting insulin option that works really fast and that can start lower blood sugar levels in as little as 12 minutes? Let's talk more about it. I was compensated by MannKind to share my experience using Afrezza. My thoughts and opinions are my own. Individual results may vary. A lot of people don't know that inhalable insulin has been available in the US for years. MannKind Pharmaceuticals got FDA approval for their inhalable insulin, which is called Afrezza, already back in June of 2014. Afrezza is a dry powder mealtime insulin that you inhale, and it has an ultra-rapid absorption, so it lowers blood sugars rapidly. Similar to the insulin response in a person who do not live with diabetes, so that's kind of unique and cool. Afrezza comes in 3 different doses. It comes in a 4-unit Afrezza dose, in an 8-unit Afrezza dose, and in a 12-unit Afrezza dose. An Afrezza dose is not equivalent to an injected rapid-acting insulin dose, though. So if you're used to injected rapid-acting insulin, you will have to convert your doses to Afrezza doses. You should work with your medical professional to get to your accurate dose for you. However, let's just go over it high level. It's fairly straightforward. Let's look at this together. This is the Mealtime Afrezza starting dose conversion table. Let's make it big. So as you can see here, to start with, you'll take your typical injected insulin dose and round up to the nearest Afrezza units, and then titrate to effect. Based on clinical trials, it might take 1.5 the amount of Afrezza to achieve the same blood sugar control as injected insulin. Once inhaled, Afrezza gets in the bloodstream in less than a minute, and it will start lowering blood sugar levels in as little as 12 minutes. And because it's fast, you can take Afrezza at the beginning of your meal. So that might be a little different from what you're used to. But let's just look at exactly how fast it works. So let's look at the insulin profile of Afrezza. So what you see marked here in blue is the time to first effect. And that is how quickly Afrezza reaches the bloodstream and starts lowering blood sugars. And you can see it is as quickly as 12 minutes. Next, we have the time to peak effect, again marked here in blue. So that is the time until Afrezza is working at its maximum strength. And you can see here that if you inhale a 4-unit of Afrezza dose, it peaks already after 35 minutes, whereas if you inhale a 12-unit Afrezza dose, it's 45 minutes. And then we have average duration of effect, again marked here in blue. And that is how long Afrezza continues to lower blood sugars. And I think it's really interesting because, as you can see, the duration is 1.5 to 3 hours, depending on the strength of Afrezza you take. So I'd say it's very much what I would call a fast in, fast out insulin, which again is very similar to the insulin response in a person who do not live with diabetes. So now you know what I think are the most important things to know about Afrezza. But if you have more questions, there's a lot of information on their website. But now let's switch gears. Let's talk about my Afrezza experience. I've been using Afrezza for years. It's not the only mealtime insulin that I use, but it's an important part of my diabetes toolkit. What I appreciate most about Afrezza is how fast and how effectively it works for me to lower high blood sugars. Let me show you an example. I went to lunch with a diet buddy who wears an insulin pump that she loves, and I think it's absolutely amazing that she has an option that really works for her. But she was telling me about how she had been struggling with high blood sugars due to a bad infusion site. It happens. So I told her about Afrezza and how I love how fast it can lower my blood sugars. For example, when I find that they get stuck. It's what I call sticky highs. That's not a medical term, but it's how I describe those blood sugars that just seem to stay high and not want to budge. I'm not sure she quite believed me, but that night after our lunch, my blood sugars went a little crazy. So I clearly hadn't calculated my mealtime insulin correctly. So I took a dose of Afrezza, and look at that. This is my CGM graph, so my blood sugars, and the response I had. And of course, I sent that to my friend right away. This was my personal experience and results will vary. As I said, I don't use Afrezza for all meals and corrections, but I wouldn't want to be without it. I mainly use it for situations where I want my insulin out of my system within 90 minutes to 2 hours, for spontaneous meals, and for corrections. And I just find that it works really well for me. I met others who use Afrezza as their only rapid-acting mealtime insulin, and you can do that, and I think it's a great option for some. That's just not how I use Afrezza. Okay, now that I have your attention, let's talk about how you can get started with Afrezza, as well as the cost of Afrezza. You do need a prescription for Afrezza, and you need to get trained on how to use the product and how much you should take. So a good first step is to talk to your doctor. Once you have your prescription, you'll have to get your Afrezza through a pharmacy. Since I've been using Afrezza for years, I already have an active prescription. However, I just moved to a new state, meaning I got new insurance. And this time around, my doctor did have to complete a prior authorization in order for me to fill my prescription with using my new insurance. I'm not saying that's going to happen to you. My last insurance did not require that. They just covered Afrezza. But it might. How much you're going to pay for your Afrezza is going to depend on if you have insurance, and if you do, what is your plan's copay. Nationally, over 70% of patients with commercial insurance have access to Afrezza. And many patients with Medicare insurance also have access to Afrezza, depending on state and plan. I pick up my Afrezza at my local pharmacy, and I use the Afrezza copay card, so I'll link to that up here. If your copay is more than $15 and you have commercial insurance, I highly recommend that you use that as well, because with the copay card, you can pay as little as $15 per prescription. But MannKind also offers other options to help with the cost if you do not have insurance or if your insurance won't cover Afrezza. Just go to their website or call the support line. This is the number for the support line. Thank you so much for watching this video about Afrezza, the only inhalable insulin available. So what do you think? Is it something that you want to try? Or are you already a happy user? Let me know, leave me a comment below. And while you're at it, if you did like this video, please give it a like. Thank you so much for watching. Afrezza is a rapid-acting inhaled insulin used to control adult diabetes. Afrezza can cause serious side effects, including sudden lung problems and low potassium. Afrezza is not for patients with chronic lung disease, such as asthma or COPD. Tell your doctor if you smoke, recently stopped smoking, have ever had kidney or liver problems, a history of lung cancer, or if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. Most common side effects are low blood sugar, cough, and sore throat. Severe low blood sugar can be fatal. Do not replace long-acting insulin with Afrezza. Afrezza is not for use to treat diabetes ketoacidosis. Do not take Afrezza if you're allergic to insulin. Talk to your doctor before changing your Afrezza dose. Blood sugar may need to be checked more frequently.